We are warned at the beginning of the movie that there are flashbacks, strange moments, and an unlikable protagonist. Danny Sanders speculates that she often wants to be noticed so badly that she doesn't even care what for. The weeping heroine examines the news, in which many vehemently criticize her. Danny rereads the threats and criticisms and realizes that she only wanted to mean something in this world. The heroine warns that you should always beware of your own desires. The action moves back 2 months. The heroine is working as a photo editor and is discussing her article with a colleague. However, Susan does not like the job very much, especially the reference to the incident of September 11th. However, Danny insists that it is very important because she hasn't shared that experience with her peers. Susan then reminds her that a girl is not a writer and takes on too much. At work, the heroine is not very much liked by her colleagues and is almost always ignored. Only Kevin communicates with Susan, but this rather makes her stay in the office even more unpleasant. The heroine deletes her article, and here begins the first part of the movie called Nobody Understands Me. In the elevator, Susan overhears that her co-workers are going to a queer bowling alley. The heroine tries to ask to go to the game with them, but Julie informs her that only people of non-traditional orientation are allowed there. Danny wants to meet his mom, but the woman already has her own plans for Friday. In the subway, the heroine eats chips and watches videos of her favorite blogger on YouTube. Danny receives a notification, but it turns out to be only a reminder of the need to take pills. On the street, the heroine unexpectedly runs into Colin, a cool guy from her work, about whom she has long been crazy about. At first, a dialogue ensues, but the guy is quickly distracted by his phone. Danny tries to get his attention by saying that she is going to Paris. This is where the second part begins, the lie. Back home, the heroine realizes that it was a very bad idea. Tickets to Paris are very expensive, but Danny suddenly finds a solution because you can just Photoshop yourself into a photo with the Eiffel Tower. The heroine's lies begin to take on larger and larger proportions. Danny even creates a website of the company that allegedly invited her to Paris, and then informs about the trip to all acquaintances and subscribers through stories and Instagram. The heroine makes a bunch of photos, creates an image of herself suitable for Paris. This deception spends almost all of Danny's free time, but the girl hopes that in this way she will be able to attract Colin's attention. The heroine's plan works because Colin subscribes to her profile on Instagram. Danny falls asleep, hoping that the guy will write to her first. However, in the morning the heroine sees a lot of notifications. It turns out that in Paris there were a lot of dangerous accidents. While calming her mom down, Danny sees the alleged suspect on TV. The heroine receives a lot of notifications, and she wants to confess her deception. However, here comes a message from Colin, and Danny decides to continue his scam. The heroine stealthily joins the crowd of those who flew in from Paris. When Danny hugs her father, she is captured by the paparazzi. The heroine realizes that her victim status has brought her into the limelight. Her parents fulfill her every whim and become more sensitive than usual. Danny receives money from her father, and her social networks are filled with new messages of support and attention. Her mom is giving her daughter more and more attention and telling her she loves her. Danny realizes she has to make up a story about what she saw that day. Part 3 begins. Susan admires the heroine, as well as the whole office, and all her colleagues admire her, believing that she is very strong, since she returned to work so quickly after the incident. Danny decides to take advantage of this and offers to write an article about how she survived the event. The heroine tells her co-workers an invented story about the events of that day. Danny posted a photo with the arch just a minute before the terrible tragedy occurred there. Afterwards, the heroine is invited by her co-workers to a queer bowling party. In addition, Colin talks to her very kindly. When the girl wants to check in under the photo from the airport, she hears a strange voice naming the number 9. Earlier, she heard the number 10 while she was making up a story about that day in Paris. Danny starts writing the story, and to make her story more believable and touching, she decides to go to a support group. At the meeting of the group, the heroine is noticed by Rowan Aldrin. The girl discusses the fact that after the tragedy she has experienced, everything for her has taken on a red hue, and for someone else, purple. Danny decides to use this concept and say that for her the world has become gray. The heroine discovers that Rowan is a celebrity. After experiencing a tragedy at school, the girl became active in the fight against the proliferation of weapons. The heartfelt speech touches Danny, and the fourth part begins, called Rowan. The heroine decides to meet the girl so that Rowan can help with writing an article about the incident that happened in Paris. However, before that, Rowan decides to bring Danny to a place where she can let out her rage by breaking things. It is difficult for the heroine to play out feelings she is not experiencing. However, Rowan advises to get rid of apathy by destroying it with blows. Her advice helps Danny. Rowan also advises the heroine to attack the world with the truth while writing an article about what happened in Paris. Danny realizes that she can simply express her feelings and feelings about life, only furthering this idea with the events in Paris. The heroine's article and the hashtag, "I'm not okay," gains a large number of views. Rowan, who is stressed out during school, reposts the entry to her wall at Danny's request. After that, the sixth installment, "I'm Not Okay," begins. Communicating with Rowan, the heroine learns that her sister lost her life during that tragedy at school. Danny is proud of her popularity, and she is confident that she can survive detractors, if any. Susan throws a party to celebrate the huge attention to the magazine because of the heroine's article. Kevin tries to thank Danny for his help, but the girl ignores him and sweet-talks with Colin. The guy invites the heroine to one event. One of the journalists named Harper begins to ask Danny about the case in Paris. At this moment, the heroine hears a voice that calls the number 6. Danny picks herself up and goes to a party with Colin. Everyone recognizes the heroine and praises the idea of "I'm not okay" hashtags. Danny starts to feel like she's seeing a strange guy in a hoodie again. The heroine suggests privacy and goes to the restroom with Colin. The privacy turns out to be less than pleasant, and Danny buys some emergency pills. The heroine sees that Colin is enjoying the party as if nothing happened, and therefore decides to go to Rowan. Having learned that the girl has problems with writing a speech for the performance, Danny offers his help. The heroine feels she is getting better, and the seventh part of the movie begins. "Now I'm a good person." Danny gives an interview and is about to attend a rally with Rowan. Heroine leaves the office, and a resentful and jealous Harper sneaks in. Danny goes with his friend to the rally and supports her with a song. However, during the performance, some guys use firecrackers. Rowan is creeped out, and Danny tries to shoo the paparazzi away from her. The heroine is waiting for her friend at the hospital and reads the angry comments under the last post about the rally. Danny calms Rowan down and sees the silhouette of a hooded man again. The distraught heroine runs home, hears a count of 10 to 1, and falls back into her fantasy of that day in Paris. However, the hooded man turns out to be Danny herself. In the morning, Harper shows up at the heroine's door. The girl declares that she knows about Danny's deception. Harper intends to write an article about it, or let the heroine tell everything herself and confess to the deception. Danny makes the decision to speak out on his own. The heroine's greatest fear is to tell Rowan about everything. The girl comes to the office and accuses Danny without letting her say a word. In the eighth part, the heroine reads numerous insulting stories about herself, and she begins to have a severe depression. In the end, Danny decides to move to his parents for a while. However, instead of support, Danny receives only reproaches and incomprehension from his mother as to how it was possible to do such a thing. In order to cope with what happened, the heroine starts going to a support group for victims of scheming. Danny realizes that she has to make amends to those she deceived. The heroine attends an event where Rowan reads a denunciatory poem about her. Danny leaves the hall, realizing that she will never be able to ease her friend's pain or make amends to her for her grievous guilt. This is the end of the movie. Thank you all for watching this video to the end. Give this video a like. Write in the comments what you think about this movie, and see you in new videos.